Welcome back to the S&T Football Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a rivalry game coming up on Friday. This Black Friday we have a great slate of games, including A&M and Texas, as well as Georgia and Georgia Tech. Well, this episode we're going to be talking about the Egg Bowl, Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. Ole Miss, number 7 in the country right now, after they were bumped down a spot last week in the rankings. The playoff committee decided to bump them down, I guess, because of the whole Lane Kiffin situation, and we'll get into that a little bit. But I guess that was the reasoning because I believe Ole Miss was on a bye week. Oregon did have a great win against USC, but I just thought that was a little interesting that they bumped Ole Miss down a spot. I don't really agree with that, but they do have a lot going on that campus right now. So they're going on the road to Mississippi State. Mississippi State is looking to get bowl eligible and win their 6th game of the year, coming in at 5-6 right now. So they have a lot of motivation on that side, other than the fact that this is a very heated rivalry. The Egg Bowl is played every single year. These two teams always play in the last game of the season. And we've seen some interesting moments in this rivalry game in the past. I remember that one time that I believe it was Ole Miss who scored late. It might have been Mississippi State. Somebody scored late, and then they did kind of a dog peeing, a peeing dog, a pissing dog, gesture, and ended up like getting them a penalty, and then the extra point got backed up like 15 yards, and then that extra point ended up getting missed because it got backed up, and they ended up losing the game by like 1 point. So that was probably one of the more wild finishes in this rivalry series. So just examples like that shows you what kind of game this is. And it's interesting because unlike some other seasons, because usually Mississippi State's not very good, you know what I mean, but Ole Miss is usually not this good. It's not this close to making the playoff usually. So the fact that Ole Miss is doing even better than they usually are, and then Mississippi State, they're not doing great, but they could become bowl eligible, and that's always a motivation, to get that 6th win of the season and be able to say, hey, we made a bowl game, and get all the perks that come with that. So motivation on both sides. So this could end up being a really good one, especially with the whole Lane Kiffin situation. It's just interesting because in college football, and I hear a lot of people complain about it, including Joel Klatt, who's one of the bigger YouTube and broadcast voices, on social media and whatnot. He talks about this and the fact that the scheduling around things that happen in college football are really just messed up, like the NIL schedule, the transfer portal schedule, and then also the fact that I guess as a coach, sometimes you forget, how everything works in college football. But I guess as a coach, if you take a new job while the season is still going on at your current job, then when the postseason starts, basically you forfeit the postseason. You immediately just move over to your next job. And I'm like, it's so interesting to me because I haven't heard too many people talk about it. But the crazy part about this whole Lane Kiffin situation to me is Lane Kiffin's been at Ole Miss for a few years now. I know he's been other places, and that always is being brought up. But he's been at Ole Miss for a few years, and he has tried to get Ole Miss to this spot year after year, and they have just missed out. Like year after year, they go 8-4, 9-3, 10-2, whatever, and just miss out on playing for a championship or really making that like really big bowl game. You know what I mean? They're finally there this year. He's gonna make the playoff this year. Like, as long as they win this game, I mean, if they lose, it could get a little iffy, even though it's only their second loss. But they're going to make the playoff this year, more likely than not. Like, this is exactly what Lane has been working for the past, few years. I forget how long he's been at Ole Miss. I think like 4 or 5 years at least now. But, like, this is everything you've been working for. And now, with the playoff right in front of you, you're going to walk away? Like, I don't understand that. And then you're going to go to a team that's in the same conference as you, a team that is not doing better than you. I understand LSU has had more previous success, in their history. They won a championship not too long ago, but LSU's not doing better than Ole Miss right now as a football program. Like, Ole Miss has been more consistent than LSU has been since that last championship they won. Since that last championship, LSU has gone 6-6 one year. I think 7-5 another year. Like, they're about to go 6-6 again this year. Like, why would you leave to go to LSU? I don't understand. Is LSU that much better than Ole Miss? You just beat them on the football field this year, literally. I I don't really understand it in general. I mean, I get it, money and resources and all that, but Ole Miss is not a slouch. Like it's not like we're talking about Mississippi State going to LSU. We're talking about Ole Miss. So like I don't really understand. That's my opinion here on this. Like it's fine if he wants to leave. He can leave and get a better job, or he sees greener pastures on that side. But the fact that you're going to leave right before your team is about to make the playoff, like this is your first playoff. You're going to miss out on your first playoff so you can go take another job and maybe never see the playoff again. I'm not saying LSU won't ever make the playoff, but who knows? They haven't made it since. You know what I mean? Since they won that last one. So I really don't understand it, but I understand that's probably like the biggest story surrounding this game this year is the whole Lane Kiffin situation. And they said they're going to announce the decision after the game, which to most people says that he's going to leave, right? So he's going to coach this last game. So, hopefully they take care of business and get to the playoff. But once the playoff starts, like, is Ole Miss going to be the same team without Lane Kiffin? Are they really going to have the same shot that they would have had with Lane Kiffin coaching them? And I think that's unfair to Ole Miss. I think that's unfair to the university and to all the players that have sacrificed this entire season and probably even seasons before just for Lane to leave right before they get to the pinnacle. Like I don't really understand that part. If anything, like can we change the schedule so that he leaves after the postseason? Like, is it that much of a rush to get down to the new campus? Like you'll have plenty of time to get your feet wet and get everything going. Can you finish out the job that you started here before you go and leave? I just feel like at this point it's kind of like it's about honor and integrity. And I know everything around college football is about money nowadays, but like, can we still have a little bit of integrity when it comes to our politics with how we deal with people in this realm and everything. It's I'm just a football fan that observes, but these are the questions that we're asking, as fans. So, very interesting. But without too much further ado, let me go ahead and get to my prediction. I I am going to take Ole Miss just because they are the better team, but I will not be surprised at all if the Bulldogs, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, pull this off because they need another win to get bowl eligible. And with all the chaos surrounding Lane Kiffin, I wouldn't be surprised if Ole Miss kind of walks into this game. There's just different energy going on, and there's worrying, and there's like, oh, is he going to leave us? Is he going to stay? And they end up just not playing as great as a game as they should, and they end up letting their rivals win. So if Mississippi State pulls it off and pulls off the upset, I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't know how that's going to affect Ole Miss's playoff chances. I think they still probably will get in, but losing this late in the season, I don't know. It could drop them a few spots, and they could be on the outside looking in. So remains to be seen. But that will be my pick there. I do think the Rebels will find a way to win, but it could go either way for sure. So tune in and Friday, make sure you're there and you're watching that for the Egg Bowl. So that's all I got here. Thank you very much for tuning in. See you next time.